How would you like to meet this stranger from space? Here's your look at the NECA toys. E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial Ultimate E.T. Bring the magic and excitement of E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial into your world. As your friendship with E.T. grows, relive all his earthly encounters, or look to the stars and create your own unforgettable interactive adventures. With E.T., the possibilities are endless. Just before we begin, I wanted to let anyone know that's in the studio right now that there's a phone available over on the table if anybody needs the phone home. No long-distance calls, please. Before we get a closer look, though, at Ultimate E.T., let me first also thank the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide the sample we're about to have a look at. Following to that, let's take the tape measure right to the very top of E.T.'s head. The figure in this case stands about 4.5 inches in height, or E.T. stands 11 centimeters tall. Now, you might be looking at this E.T. and thinking to yourself, wait, this guy behind the camera has already filmed this review. I can hear you, by the way. I did technically look at an E.T., and I did technically look at an Ultimate E.T., but it wasn't the same figure that we're about to have a look at. I'm going to slide over the one we're about to have a look at and bring in the one we already had a look at. Now, before, again, you look at this and think, oh, wait a minute, that's the same figure. The one, though, to the left, looking at it, is the one that's the Ultimate E.T. The one, though, to the right is the Ultimate Deluxe E.T. Not only did it have the phone home satellite dish system that he came included with, but this E.T. also, one thing that's different about him, is that he did also light up. Just press the button on the back of his body here. This new E.T., or the newest one that we're looking at here in this case, isn't the deluxe release, and nor does it have a light up chest either. What it does have, though, is a lot of accessories. Some of the accessories, to be fair, are ones we already got before with the telepathic E.T. and the one that we also got with the deluxe E.T. Like, for example, the flower pot. The flower pot that has the flowers inside both yellow and pink just happens to be also the same one that came included with the deluxe E.T. There's nothing different between the two. I think dress-up E.T., if memory serves me correctly, had a dead version of these same flowers. But in this case, the flowers are identical to one another. They haven't changed anything between the two. Nor have they also changed the speak and spell. This is the speak and spell that came included with the E.T. that we're looking at in this review. This is the speak and spell that came included with the telepathic E.T. And also, there was a smaller version of the speak and spell that also came included with the deluxe Ultimate E.T. That was part of, again, that phone home system that he was building. I couldn't help but also to notice as well that the speak and spell that comes included with the regular Ultimate E.T. seems a little more orange than the one that came included with the telepathic E.T. The telepathic version seems a little bit more darker in coloring. Flipping around to the back, you can also see the attention to detail. There's a little on and off switch, and there's also a battery compartment. So they spared certainly no detailed expense when it comes to designing these. Again, this is the one that came included with the deluxe E.T. or the telepathic E.T. This is the one that we're about to have a look at in this review. Also, you can see as well, he started to type something there onto the top. The buttons down below colored nicely, both in yellow and the orange. But again, down below, you got speak and spell. Unfortunately, in this case, too, I don't want to say unfortunately, in this case, it does say speak and spell. But the candy that he comes with, for example, does not actually say Reese's Pieces. What it does, though, say is it says peanut butter flavor candy. I would still eat it either way. Even if this was knockoff Reese's Pieces, you got to believe I'd be carrying around a pocket of these. It looks like, unfortunately, they have spilled. So some of the Reese's Pieces have gone all over the place. Before you think that was unnecessary product placement, you need to watch Mac and Me. I think the whole thing is just one big giant Coke commercial. Anyways, though, I love the look of these. I do wish that they could have found a way to get the licensing to actually put Reese's Pieces on the front, but at least you get yourself a little bag of candy. The figure also comes included, let's just move the flower pot out of the way, comes with a series of interchangeable hands. These hands are actually good for holding the flower pots, so you can actually just pop the hands out of their forearms. How did you do that? Big budgets. We're moving into a big budget now. Pop those hands out, and you just replace them with these hands. Or the figure also comes included with a gripping hand. Now, the gripping hand isn't good enough for holding the flower pot. It's not that big of a grip. However, though, if you did want to take yourself the bag of candy, you can very easily hold them inside this gripping hand, whether it's Reese's Pieces or not. The last thing that the figure comes included with, again, is his glowing finger. Big budget, folks. Big budget. And again, you just easily swap that out with the existing hands that are in his forearms. Let's move everything out of the way. The last thing that really does make this ET unique, not only does he not have light-up features, but he does also come included with a blanket, which I always thought was a towel. It's a soft, rubbery plastic. It's very similar to Bob's sheet. How about a beer, Bob? Well, this actually does detach, and I feel I've seen this towel before. Maybe one of the earlier ETs had this. It detaches. You can see there's pegs on the inside there, and there's holes then on the other side, and you just line up everything. Now, you can do it this way. The only thing about it, though, is it's always hard to get that last peg in there. You can also really technically take and remove ET's head. I find that's the easier of the two, and just simply slide that over top of his body. Then from there, just pop the head back in place. And then you've got ET then wearing his towel/blanket. Again, I always thought it was more of a towel than a blanket. It does obviously then limit the articulation on the figure. You're not going to be able to do really much of anything when it comes to moving the figures around. I mean, you can somewhat move his hands, but his arms, forget about it. His elbows, forget about it. You won't be able to do that. It's a nice looking ET though, and really with all the other ETs bearing a very strong likeness and resemblance to all one another for obvious reasons, I like to then display these guys with, of course, the things that make them unique. Dress-up ET would have then been wearing the dress. Telepathic ET was wearing the robe. Now we've got regular Ultimate ET that's wearing the blanket. And again, it's a nice looking detailed blanket. Let's go ahead and then remove this right now. And slide this off the figure's body. So again, like with the deluxe version, let's just pop the head back into place. Actually, just before we actually talk a little bit about the deluxe version, one thing I also did want to mention is, once again, on the back of the packaging, for the accessories that it lists for this figure, it does make mention of an interchangeable neck. No neck is inside this tray. You get everything else, all the things we finished having a look at, but no swapped out neck is available for ET. Now, you can easily use the necks that we've gotten with the other ETs and just increase or decrease the height of the figure's head, depending on how you want to have the figure displayed. Once again, though, to bring back in the Ultimate Deluxe ET, exactly the same body, short of the fact that this one would have had the painted over piece that would then, when you press the button here on the back, would have illuminated the chest. Now, if you don't have any need to have this on a figure, don't want to pay the extra price that goes along with it either, really, this ET does all the same things and just does deliver the same sculpt that you would have liked already with the other ET figures without the additional cost of like a light up function. So if you don't like that, you don't have to get this figure necessarily. I would certainly encourage always that you get these guys with these extra figures, because you always get the extra accessories that go along with the figures as well. But as you can see, head-wise, they are exactly the same to one another. I feel as well, like the necks are also the exact same length to one another, but again, you can increase or decrease those with the other earlier looked at ETs. Arms are also the exact same. Bodies, for obvious reasons, are the exact same. And his tiny little ET feet. Look how adorably smelly those feet probably would be. You can see that there's peg holes also on the undersides of the feet. Although really the figure doesn't have any real tough time to stand anyways, but they're there also if you wanted to use them. Put that to the side. For the articulation here for ET, I guess one quick thing we'll have a look at is his face. We don't want to jump right away to the articulation on the figure, but once again, stellar looking sculpt from the folks over at NECA. Having already had the earlier ETs long time ago, not the Ultimate ones, but the ones we looked at many, many years here on this channel, I don't think they've done anything different necessarily to the mold. They just tweaked the paint, but it does look as just as good of an ET as the one we got before. Again, one thing that's benefiting this figure is all the extra articulation. All the articulation would be the same. It's all those extra accessories that are, yes, the crucial things to pick up for this figure. For the articulation, though, let's have a look at the head. The head is on a ball joint. So once again, if you leave just the neck alone and you just move the head on its own, he does have a ball joint there, so you can move the head back and forth, up, down, and you can also rock it back and forth. Move it a little bit further down, though. Just the base of the neck, there's also a secondary ball joint there, too. So between the two, they work hand in hand like best buddies in life. You can actually get quite a lot of range of motion when it comes to ET's head. For the arms, they are going to be a little bit more on the limited side. You can still pull off almost 90 degrees. Maybe just about 90 degrees, just a little bit tighter on the shoulders. You can get a nice big giant bear hug, or ET hug in this case. Take those arms, you can also rotate them also all the way around. You can do that the exact same on both sides. Figure has only a single hinge, once again, his elbow. That does allow at least the forearms to rotate back and forth, and ET's hands rotate also all the way around with a nice hinge added in there as well. This whole part just basically is one entire mold, so you're not going to be able to do anything with that. But if you move a little bit further down to his ET feet, the feet do have ball joints, so you can move them up, down, and rock them also back and forth as well. No complaints at all with E.T. Now, again, when you may be looking at a figure like this and you'd be thinking to yourself, well, I've already really technically picked up the Ultimate Deluxe E.T. Is it really even worth the time to pick up this figure again? I would have said that if not for the fact that it included the blanket. Because the blanket is also one thing that does make this E.T. then distinct from this E.T., I would certainly still say if you already have the deluxe version of E.T., keep in mind as well, the reason you probably picked up that figure also was not only because it did have the satellite system for him to phone home, but it did also have the light-up chest, which once again we can just press it on. Never can get enough mileage out of that light-up feature. But if you already have this figure, I think definitely for the towel or the blanket, having that displayed on the figure would right away make these figures very distinctly different from one another. While, yeah, some of the accessories have been shared with not only just the deluxe ET, but also the telepathic ET, the dress-up ET, I don't think has any of the accessories carried over. I would have to go back and double-check that. But I think there's still enough merits to want to still pick up this ET if you already have this one in your collection. Speaking from somebody that has been all in when it comes to collecting ETs, this is coming from a guy that was collecting the original clamshell-cased ETs from a long time ago. We even had a look at those on this channel here. We have recently now got a whole bunch of new ETs from the folks over at NECA. And to be really honestly fair, they have double-dipped not only the mold, but a lot of the accessories that have come out with those earlier ETs and even the newer ETs seem to still get making the rounds when it comes to all these newer releases. And I'm fine for that. Not in this review necessarily, but I think even in the dress-up ET review, I did actually dust off one of the earlier ETs in the clamshell case, or the clamshell packaging, and you could see that there was an improvement on paint. While sharing the same molds, while sharing the same articulation, they seem to be better-looking figures when you compared the two. And as it certainly goes when it comes to sharing accessories, I don't mind necessarily that flower pot that came with this figure happened to also be the flower pot that came included with the deluxe ET, and the Speak and Spell was one we already got with another ET, the telepathic version before. When it comes to ultimately displaying this figure, one thing that goes for the credit for this figure goes is the fact that this one also comes included with the blanket. So while you may have already collected the deluxe version of ET that looks essentially the same as this one right here, because this one does have the blanket, this one on my shelf is going to be displayed with the blanket. The deluxe ET is going to go au natural. Once again, a big thank you to the folks over at NECA Toys that did provide this sample of the regular Ultimate ET. That's strange to say, regular Ultimate ET, that we could have a look at in this review. What do you guys think of the figure? Let me know down below in the comments section. And have you also been all in when it comes to collecting ET, the Extra-Terrestrial? Let me know down below in the comments section. And as well, if you enjoyed this video, want to hit with a like. You guys are loving the content you guys are seeing and love the fact we have gone back to ET. We are also going to be looking at one other release of ET. And if anybody has been collecting ETs, you probably already know which one that's going to be. That's Elliot and ET on bike. We will be looking at that one in an upcoming review. So there's definitely still more ET to come your way. As always, guys, thanks for watching. See you guys next time.